It was in March of 2014 that I decided I'd actually start developing games. And without any knowledge or experience in programming or anything like that, I just decided to jump right in. And 1 year and 6 months later, I released a game called Downwell. It's a game about going down a vertical shaft. As a setting, it's a well, and your main character he's wearing a thing called the gun boots, where there's a gun attached to your boots, basically, and you just shoot downwards. It has 4 different areas, and then a boss. The idea for Downwell at the very beginning of the project was that it would be a game that could itch the urge for Spelunky on the go on mobile. I was and still am deeply in love with Spelunky, and simply as a gamer, I wish there'd be a game that would be as engaging and unpredictable as Spelunky was. So I decided at the start that it would be a 2D platformer, playable on mobile. It would have vertical levels that grew downwards. It would be played in a portrait orientation on phones, and it would have some random elements like Spelunky. Those were the only ideas I had. It was very vague, but that was just how I worked at the time. At a very early stage, it didn't even have the gumboots. It was just another super hard, insta-death kind of game. So it wasn't very interesting as a whole, but I did feel some potential from the whole vertical, downward progression thing. Because I was developing the game for mobile only at the time, I knew I couldn't have too many virtual buttons on the screen, or otherwise the screen would get cluttered up and it would become very hard to control. So I decided at the start to have no more than 3 buttons, which would be left, right, and jump. I experimented around with what could work within that control scheme, and after toying around with the idea that the jump button could maybe double as something else, I came up with the gumboots gimmick, which had the player shoot bullets from feet when the jump button was pressed while the player was in the air. It seems obvious in hindsight, but it took a while for me to realize that to utilize both the shooting and the air maneuvering abilities of the gumboots, it was best to have the levels be more open and have less platforms. I had been designing the levels so that the next platform below that you could jump to would always be visible on the screen, as I felt otherwise it would be kind of unfair. But having open spaces and having the next platform be so further down that it wasn't visible on the screen was where the gumboots shined the most, as it would encourage the player to use the gumboots' recoil to carefully seek out the next landing zone. During playtesting the later builds, I found myself trying to consistently land on the enemies, basically doing the combos without the system actually implemented, simply because it was the most fun way to be playing the game. Trying to keep the combo count meant that the player had to constantly utilize the gumboots to avoid ground and accurately adjust self-placement and land on enemies. It made the game be even more fast-paced and gave the player even more reasons to be shooting from gumboots. Players could take the game relatively slowly if they wanted to, but it would encourage the player to go way faster as they get used to the game. And there will be more and more rewards and benefits if you play it that way. For music, Eirik Tsuruke of Spelunky's music and Ridiculous Fishing,
worked with me, and also Jonas Turner from games like Nuclear Throne and Broforce worked on Downwall for sound effects. Obviously, I knew them like before I met them because, well, I love the games that they worked on, and they were like my heroes. And yeah, we talked, and I showed them my game, and they were like, "Oh, this looks pretty cool." And before you know it, like we're working together. I really couldn't believe it. You know, like if there was a well, wouldn't you just like go up to it and look down? That's just how it is for me. Like well is an interesting thing for me. I always look down into it, so I felt like a game where you would be going down a well might be satisfying.